Hey, this is a Hakawati production. My guest today is Dirk Kunze, who's just been appointed as head of the German-based Friedrich Naumann Foundation for Freedom. He's been in the Middle East for 7 years now, 4 years in Egypt and 3 years in Beirut in Lebanon. And he's just been relocated to Amman, Jordan, to review and communicate on current political developments in the MENA. Please welcome Dirk Kunze.
Thank you.
So what does that mean exactly? To review and communicate recent political developments when you say that?
It's probably a quote that I took a while to come up with in order to encompass basically everything that we do. That sounds good and basically portrays all kinds of tasks that we have. Because like in the end, or to begin with, like the Friedrich Naumann Foundation is an educational institute. It's a German political foundation. And I need now another 3-4 minutes to really explain what we do, and actually, like, you know, even after this, like, family and friends still don't know what I do. So
yes, it's a little suspicious.
Hey, it is, sounds right. Yeah, no, it's actually something very. The moment you actually like getting in deeper into what we do and why we're doing it, you and for every political mind, actually, you get to appreciate it and you get to really like it. And if you allow me, I would like to elaborate.
But before that, let's just say that the FNF is, first of all, of course, a German organization that's active in over 60 countries around the world, including in Europe, Africa, Asia, North and Central America. And its official stated mission is to advance the rights of minorities, the democratic control of security forces, and the strengthening of international human rights coalitions. Does that sound about right?
Sounds about right, yes.
Okay.
As long as we still have always like this political tendency in it.
Well, why don't you go ahead then and explain for us a little bit more in detail what it is that the mandate is?
Well, the thing is, like, you have to start, like, first of all, we are a German foundation. That means like our main activities are in Germany. And that is born out of the history of Germany, where, you know, we learned that in after 2 world wars, you could basically train a society, the German society, towards something exclusiveness and towards something, not democratic, basically. And when you can train people into this, you also can train them into the other direction, but you have to do it. And that's the whole starting point for it, to say like, hey, we have not much on civic education, on adult education, in terms of what we take for granted: democratic values, human rights, rule of law, all of these things. So we need institutions that do that. And how do we do this? This shouldn't be done by state actors, for example. So what the German model is basically, we take the parliamentary elections, and each political party that is voted into parliament represents a political ideology. And this ideology is something that then, is represented in the society as well. And if a party is re-elected, then we have the understanding this ideology that is there is not just a hiccup in history. It's not just like something quick or whatever. So there is a certain need for this ideology. So a communist, a socialist, a conservative, a liberal, a green, like all of these.
But your party is liberal.
And
it's very far left.
I'm coming. Yeah. I'm sorry for being that long, but now that you give me this time, I will use it. The moment the party is re-elected into parliament, this party can form a political foundation. And now it becomes tricky. This was the easy part. Because the moment this foundation is created, it is separated from the party. So the foundation stands for the ideology that the party is actually doing on real day-to-day basis. That can differ. So we are a liberal political foundation. So that means that we strive for everything that the liberal ideology, the liberal political ideology is standing for: individualism, free market rule, rule of law, human rights, all of these things. And sometimes it can be that the party that we are affiliated with is in government, and they have to make concessions. They're in government with the socialists, so they have to make concessions to something where we as a foundation would say like, hey, this is diverting from the ideology. So this is where we are like somewhere different. And so what you end up with is basically you have a foundation, a political foundation for the communist ideology, for the socialist ideology, and so on. And with all of them, if you put them together, you have basically a nice cut through the society of Germany and represent the ideologies that the German people are electing right now. And our main work is in Germany. So we do public and civic education in Germany. What is democracy? Why are elections important? And all this kind of stuff. We do this in Germany. This is our main focus. However, we have now, over so many years, we just turned 60 last year, developed an international network. That means, there are other political parties that we're interacting with, other organizations, think tanks, and so on. And they profit from our experience. They profit from the network.
Can I ask you a question? First of all, who's funding the organization, and why was it necessary to be in all these other countries?
Hey, let me start with the last one, because this is something that's exactly the point that you have in other countries. For one, there's someone who's fighting for the same goals, but is not as well equipped as we are, for example. And we come to this, what is equipped means. So we, as a foundation, would not go and say hey, we're here coming to Lebanon, and in order to be better, you need to do this and this and that. At the times of the development policy, where the white man comes with a suitcase and opens up and says here, this is my store, and this is what you have to do in order to get better. These are over. These times are over. So basically, it is that we're just looking as okay, who is like-minded like us, who's thinking like us, and how can we support them to do what they want to do?
So you're basically encouraging people who have the same ideology in other countries, so that you can kind of have friends all over the world, right? Is that the purpose?
Just to promote liberalism, to promote what we stand for.
Yeah, but to promote it for what? I mean, what's in it for Germany?
It's part of the foreign relations, because you have to see the big picture. Because it's not just us. We just have a chunk of we're just covering a chunk of the Lebanese society. Let's just stay here with the Lebanese, because we would not talk with certain partners that our communist friends would talk to, but their friends wouldn't, their partners wouldn't talk to us. So, in the big picture, basically you support the whole society to be on the ideals of democracy. That's where we foundations also are overlap. And why is this important? For Germany, this is part of the foreign relations. The foreign relations of Germany are threefold. You have the diplomatic relations, that is the embassies, where basically countries or states talk to states. There are protocol issues, if you are in a specific... I come to an example later. Then you have the second level, which is the cultural level. In Germany, it's the Goethe Institute, language courses, movies, festivals, and so on. And then you have the political level, and this is where the political foundations are. So you have, for example, a situation in a country where an embassy is not allowed to talk to certain actors in the society, even though they play a big role, for protocol reasons, because the country cannot talk to them. So we can. We have access to them. We can talk to them, or other foundations can.
Are there any people in the region that you can mention? When you talk about people that governments are maybe not allowed to talk to, what kind of people are specifically are you talking about? Which political parties would be kind of a faux pas to kind of have a direct conversation with
it was difficult. For
Western
example,
government.
One example that I know from firsthand is the Egyptian example. We had the time of the Arab Spring in 2011 when Mubarak was overthrown, and all diplomatic levels were in this difficult position that they had no access to the important and relevant actors of the Muslim Brotherhood, who all of a sudden were everywhere. And there was no direct channel, because they didn't know with whom to talk to, because they were not doing that before. And we were inclusive in this approach. We're okay, they're part of the society. We may not like them, and they certainly are not liberal, but they are part of the society. So let's talk to them. So we had access to them, and not us as a foundation. All the other foundations, we were then sitting together, and it's part of the international relations to actually talk, to start a dialogue, to be able to communicate with each other.
And that you take that information and communicate back to your your government? Or do you have direct kind of relationships with your government in Germany?
In this case, we have meetings with the embassy or something like this, but we are not part of the German government. We're getting our money, and that's coming back to your question. We're getting our money from the German Parliament. So there is,
which is part of the government, isn't it?
No. The government is the executive. The government is derives from the parliament. So all the people elect all the people in the parliament, and then the parliament does the executive, the government, and then the parliament is basically like giving reserving a certain amount of money for the political foundations. And no, we are not under any kind of ministry or certain minister that directs what we have to do. We're very free in this approach.
Are there a lot of other such organizations in Germany? Is Germany a place where the parliament supports more than in other countries, for example?
I don't know how it's in other countries, but obviously like this approach of like education is very important for Germans, and it did good to us to invest in civic education, to make what we really think. Like, I mean, like we're humans, and especially now where you see that populism is on the rise. You see that we're not immune to these kind of critical factors. It doesn't mean because we had 40 years or 60 years of democracy that it will be another 60 years. Democracy is very fragile and needs to be explained and needs to be worked on every day anew. And we need to find ways to make it attractive to people. And that's what we do. And
actually, the foundation was established and named after a Protestant theologian, Friedrich Naumann, who was a leading German liberal thinker and politician at the beginning of the last century. He believed that a functioning democracy needs politically informed and educated citizens in order to have a society that has political participation and therefore a democracy. So how exactly? So it's a lot about education, as you said. How do you do this? How does the foundation do that?
Well, as I said, first of all, we do this in Germany. We have an own educational center in Germany, where we have basically everyday seminars on elections, on also like free speech, like how yourself, like, you know, how do you speak?
Every day?
Every day,
wow.
every day.
It's like a school.
It is basically, it's a training center, which is where you can also like sleep and everything like this, because all the foreign offices, again, like our main activity is not in the foreign world, but we have 60 offices worldwide, and they send every month for a certain seminar for 2 weeks someone there. So
who are they sending?
They are sending members of the civil society that are relevant for the seminar that we are having. For example, we will have one in September on innovation in politics, innovation in democracy. Like, you know, what are new ways to innovate, to interest people. So we as an office here, we can choose now and see like, okay, who in our spectrum of partners would be good for this? Who should go there? So we ask our partners, and they nominate people, and then we nominate them one level further, and then all the world of our offices, they nominate someone, and then you end up for 2 weeks in the middle of nowhere, in the greens of Germany, for 2 weeks with 25 people from all over the world on a certain subject. They all have something to say. They speak the same language because they're interested in the same stuff, and we let them work with each other on certain topics. And these topics range from political participation for youth, of like how to run NGOs, to innovation. We also have PR, like how you do, like, you know, communication, political communication, and so on, like all of these things.
So it's kind of like a think tank.
We are a creative think tank that we were between being a think tank and being a platform, an innovative platform for other think tanks.
So you're talking about innovation and how to innovate the process of, I guess, getting people interested and involved. And so I know that there are 6 regional directors in MENA, and most of those people are a little bit older and more senior than you. You're one of the younger ones. Why do you think they appointed you to MENA to be the next regional director?
This is due to the fact that that we did, I think, too good of a work here in Beirut, and maybe the foundation mistook this and said like, okay, then he can do some other stuff as well. No, but seriously, when I arrived here 3 years ago, this office that we have right now did not exist. We had a small office that was a part of the Jordan office, and then we've basically founded together with the new staff this garage. We are in a garage in an open space where we sit and basically also live what we talk about. And
what is it that you talk about?
We talk about thinking outside the box, being active, and engage.
So, for example, today at the office, well, today you're kind of on your way out.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you're not as productive as you've been for the last few years. But what are some of the things? Do you spend most of the day in the office with your team? And what are the kinds of things that you guys talk about?
Okay. When we are in the office, we have to do a lot of filing, and, because we are spending German taxpayers' money, and so every dollar is accounted for. So this has to be done. Also reporting, if something is happening, an election here or something like this, I am basically the one for the foundation and for the liberal community in Germany to say like, okay, this is the issue on the street. Mm-hmm. So this is the other.
Is it like a daily thing? Do you follow the news?
No, not I follow the news, of course.
But it's mostly when there's something major.
Yes, when there's something worthy to report. And then we are also planning and executing events, activities that we do with our partners. And our partners are many. I mean, like from civil society to political society. And then we, do.
So what are some of the activities and events and stuff that you're organizing?
They range from political activities to something like really that we do with kids. One thing that we, for example...
You're starting them young, huh?
Yeah,
smart.
It's actually like this is something that we really wanted to do with the kids, because it's like something with like where they reflect on themselves and just like questioning. But this is not the main point that we do. It's like what we, for example, did was what we just finished basically, and it's just recently. We had. You have to see, like, political foundations. I'm sure you get also like so many invites for conferences and a workshop here and I don't know, a publication and all of these things, and a panel discussion, and they're good, but there are other ways to do it. And what are other ways? Because like,
other ways?
I'm coming there.
Okay.
The moment I'm inviting someone, like, come, hey, we discussed this and this topic. I preach to the already converted. They are interested. I want to reach people who are not yet.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So and so we for example, we said like, okay, let's do some game jams, which is just basically another version of a hackathon. You bring people together that are somehow interested in gaming. And then you give them challenges. Okay, let's write a game on environmentalism, whatever, so. And then they're like, okay,
what do you mean, whatever? Are you actually doing games on environmentalism?
On environmentalism, on historical reference, for example, or on how to participate also, like in the society, like the historic value of.
So your organization is hiring someone to design these game apps?
We're not hiring anyone, and that's quite interesting.
Okay, how do you develop the apps?
We basically say like, okay, let's do a game jam on certain challenges, and one of them, for example, I'm taking now this example is on historic references.
You did one on the Armenian genocide,
exactly.
I believe. Yeah.
So, and that came out of not because we as an organization that we want to make one like this. It was because we said like, let's do a game jam and let's interest people in the dialogue of political issues. And they were like someone who said like, okay, I have an idea, but I have no idea how to code. And then in this game, in this auditorium of people, there was someone, I can code. And okay, if you tell me
who are these people?
These are people, students, interest people in gaming, and you find them.
How do you gather them? I mean,
you have partners here in the country. You have the Lebanese game developers. You have Arab Arcade. You have everyone in BDD. There's like this country is full of tremendously interesting, creative people.
So your office contacts all these places and says, we're organizing this.
Is it worth it doing this? Like, we're like, okay, we're looking, like, the idea is like not to make a panel discussion. So, and then there are others like Arab Arcade or like the Lebanese game developers. And we're like, hey, can we do something? And they're like, Why don't we gather them and let's see what's coming out of it? Okay, let's do it. So we do a game jam and so on. And so we did it in Beirut, for example, and it was crazy. It was interesting. We did it, and I'm just making an example now. In Beirut, you have of 10 people, I would say like 8 are creative people. They're like there and they're like, hey, let's do this and let's do that. And there are 2 guys who can code, they're like this. They're like straightforward and then coding and mathematical and so on. And then we did the same game jam in Tripoli. And all of a sudden we had like 8 guys who wanted to code and 2 creative people. So, like all of a sudden you have a complete different area and different capacity there. And then even better, the people who came from in Tripoli were young fighters. I mean, they were so young, and they still have a difficult past to deal with. I mean, like, we did it in Jabal and Mohsen, and they were showing us where they were like stationed, where they like fight and so on. And they have no other worldview in this very moment than taking up a gun and fight their fight. So, and here we are with local partners, Shift and all others, and then giving them this opportunity. And this is not just, we just don't put them in the room. We also then have trainers. This is, for example, what we then pay for. We have someone who can teach them coding, who can teach them putting an idea into something. And this is then developing over a whole weekend. And then we see what's coming out of it, if they want to continue or not. And then we're making another one. And so the Armenian genocide thing developed out of this, because then we really had it like kept on going. And there was a team that funded themselves there. And then we did some jury and so on. And then we went in this direction. It's like, okay, if you guys really want to do it, then let's do it.
So did you really develop actual apps, gaming apps?
You can download this right now.
Really?
It's called Mayrig. And you can...
Mayrig, like Mayrig?
That's it.
Okay.
It's on Google Play Store and it's on App Store. You can download it. It's for free. And we also, like in cooperation with the Haigizian University, we are now launching it in Armenia as well. We never planned this. We never planned this.
Yeah.
But this is a way to... Now we are talking about...
But what does that teach people about democracy?
It teaches them in this very moment, it's an access to migration. What does it mean to leave your home country? And we're talking about Lebanon. I mean, like, shall I make...
Well, Jordan as well. They have tons of, they have a similar number of refugees,
actually. The area. I mean, like, there's like, we have the Palestinians, we have the Syrians, we have, this is, the topic of migration is a hot topic. But
it is a hot topic.
Absolutely. But shall I make it now and put the, make it like whatever is in the news anyway and talk about Syrian refugees and make a panel discussion about it? No. But if somebody is feeling, if you play Mayrig, you are a young mother that has to flee with their kids in front of what's coming, and you can choose. What are your choices? Where do you go? What do you do? With whom do you talk? And so on. And some roads lead you to death. Mm-hmm. And you emotionally get a feeling for what it means to migrate, to be forced to migrate. And that's open up either nothing or it opens something. And if we reach a couple of people, we're not talking about like we're changing societies here, not at all. We want to reach certain people to enable them to have an opportunity to choose for themselves which way they want to go.
And I guess it would kind of increase empathy for people that don't really know about these situations. Okay.
Learning like history, empathy, like if you reach the heart by this and it opens up
interest.
this.
Yeah, I could see that. So about the refugees, does the foundation have a stand on the return of the refugees to Syria? This is a big issue right now in the region. A lot of politicians locally are suggesting that they do go home voluntarily. Does the foundation have a position on this?
We're not a political foundation in the sense that we do make politics. We again, are an ideological foundation, and we are with whatever the Human Rights Charter is dictating, at least. And this is for this case, if the refugees are, and that is true for Germany as well. I mean, we're saying that if a refugee is coming for a certain reason, for example, fleeing a war, then they have the right to stay with us. And they have to
but the war is pretty much over much of Syria now. And you're here on the ground and you've been in, you see them day to day.
I cannot
You
go
can't
to
go to
Syria.
Syria?
I
Sure,
don't know.
you can. You can go to
Okay.
Damascus.
To Damascus, but why can I not go to the other
You can
places?
go to a lot of. There's probably just a few pockets that you can't go to. I mean,
I cannot go, and there's a
listed.
reason why the German government is not having diplomatic relations with Syria, and why there are still on a daily basis people dying in Syria, and why the United Nations cannot 100% make sure that whoever returns to Syria can be sure that they have their security. This is what the UN says. They say they cannot secure that. If we send someone in there, we cannot find it. And that's what we have to take. But we have nothing to do with it.
Right? I mean,
this is this is a political issue, and I understand that the Lebanese situation is dire. It's really difficult, and especially on a local level. I mean, like you have villages and cities that are, where the population has tremendously exploded, basically because
it's a
of
big strain on the infrastructure.
Absolutely, but there's also a super chance in it for this country. I mean, like this country, Lebanon, would not get as much international support if there wouldn't be so many refugees. And there's a chance to do the infrastructure to the north. Build roads, make internet, have electricity in Akkar. If Lebanon would use this opportunity right now to actually update and upgrade their own system, I mean, this is a chance that no other country has.
Well, we also know that there are other concerns which have to do also with the religious groups and the balance in the country.
Of course.
So does the foundation kind of lean towards? I mean, the religious groups are affiliated with countries who lean in certain political directions. Does the foundation kind of take a stand in that way, like that maybe they're favoring them not going back because it'll work in their favor if
we have no say
the balance changes
we
here.
have no say in this, and we want that people can make their own decisions, and right now it seems that people cannot make their own decisions, and we don't favor anyone. And again, we have our partners here in Lebanon, and they are civil society partners and political partners, and they are from many spectrums then in the end as well. And you have the situation that they, on the basis of a liberal approach, a liberal worldview, and that means an individual should have the right to choose where they should live, and based on the rule of law, and this is what we're supporting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but at the end of the day, a lot of the refugees don't really know what's going on. They're kind of waiting to be told, guided. They're,
not all of them, but many. Yes,
many,
of course. Yeah.
The ones that are not so
That's why we're
fortunate.
engaging, for example, with kids, because we think that education is the most important part. If you end up now, I mean, we're in the 8th year now. If you end up having kids, it's great that they can participate in schools, in the Lebanese schools. It's absolutely great. But what do you do they're having their afternoon class, and they have the whole morning and the whole day basically off, and then they go to the afternoon class and facing for the first time in their life a curriculum that they have never heard or used to something else. The dropout rates are tremendously high because of this, So why not preparing them, and there are self-help initiatives there, why not preparing them in this time before they go to the school, to prepare them hey, this is what you're now going to expect in the school, stick to it, prepare them, and then they're actually getting educated, and then they can make their own choices. So that's why we're not providing them with any kind of food or shelter or anything like this. This is not what we do.
You don't
do that. But the education is what is relevant.
So it's really education. But does it go ever beyond that? Does the foundation ever get retained by political parties or people in government as a kind of consultant firm?
Retained?
Or hired or contracted?
No. We partner with political partners on these issues because
the foundation does not ever get paid by political parties or
we
members
usually,
of the government.
We usually pay.
I see you smiling.
No, because it's usually the other way around.
Really?
Yes, of course.
What do you mean? You're paying them to?
No, we don't pay the party either.
Let
but
you in the building?
Look, we're again, coming from the German understanding, we believe that in order to have an inclusive democracy, you need political parties. Otherwise you end up with social society movements with one topic, and then they go and come and whatever. So we believe strongly in political parties. So having said that, political parties affiliate themselves with ideologies. So we have, for example, Future Movement. Future Movement says it's a liberal party. Its president, Saad Hariri, is the vice president of Liberal International. That is the umbrella organization for all liberal parties worldwide. So we work with Future Movement. Now, if you have young leaders in the party who need speech training, of course, we help them.
Does that happen often?
Yeah, on a regular basis, of course.
So how does that work? Do they come to your garage and you sit down with them and work on the speeches, or you go there to their offices?
Both of them. Just now I came from Kantari because we had an event at Future Movement, and we talk about like what is going on, what needs to be and what needs to be done, and there's nothing that is, and everything is super transparent. Everything is super transparent. We don't hide anything because again we have taxpayers' money, so this is like what is seen, and then we have the academy, for example, where we say like innovation in politics. I said only innovation in politics. How
you
do you
kind of changed the subject there because I was super interested in the fact that you're basically training. You're sending those people there.
Yes.
Okay.
So we're sending someone from Future Movement to innovation in politics.
Like now, right now?
Right now, in this very moment, someone from Future Movement is in our training center in Germany. Yes.
What is he learning?
Oh, I forgot the seminar that he's in right now.
You should send like all the governments in the Middle East.
No, again, look, you have people in the government who believe that the country should be run, for example, with more government in order to educate the people. I do not believe that. I think less government is possible and is better because, like, if you engage and train and have educated individuals, they can make their informed decisions for themselves. They may make the wrong decision for themselves. I mean, like everybody who's smoking makes a decision. They know it's not healthy, but it's their decision. Let them do it, But that's what I want. I do not want the government to tell me you need to smoke or you not need to smoke. I want to make this decision for myself. And this is what I believe in. That's why we're not working with governments, because we have people in there that do not share my worldview. And I think, history has proven us right. The liberal model, the model of a market-based society, has given us so much more value in the last decades. It's something that I certainly stand for. And I'm coming from this point of view. I grew up in East Germany. I grew up in a dictatorial system. I grew up in a system where the government was going to tell me what I have to study, what I have to work, what I can do, and so on and so on. I do not want this. And I believe that I can make my own mistakes. And that's what I want, that other people can make their own mistakes willingly.
So in the Middle East, the foundation has offices in Israel, in Palestine or the Palestinian territories, Morocco, Lebanon, Syria, Egypt. They still have an office in Egypt. And of course, Jordan, which is where you're going. And the MENA regional office used to be in Cairo, where you were. Now it's since 1978, but it's now operating from Amman, Jordan. So so that was the headquarter. Why did they move the headquarter from Egypt, from Cairo to Amman?
Yeah. That's true. We actually it's one of our oldest offices in the MENA region, the Cairo office, and it was the regional office for the whole MENA region, and it was obviously very important in the Arab Spring because of the partners that we had there, and in the end it was.
Which was when did they kind of shift the head office for the HQs from Cairo to Amman?
That was in 2016 when we opened, because I was in Cairo at that time, and then we moved the headquarters, the MENA regional office to Jordan, and at the same time I went to Beirut in order to open the office here. That was in 2016 after a long struggle that we had in the country because we wanted to stay there. It was one of our main. If you want to act in the Arab region, I think you need to be in Egypt. It's very important. However, civil society had a difficult stand at that time. Starting 2000, it became really difficult in 2013. I would say 14, something like this, and there was a new NGO law that all the NGOs had to go under, had to declare their income and so on, which is what we do. But we are not an NGO. We're not a non-governmental organization. So we usually operate on bilateral country basis. There's usually here it's the cultural agreement that exists. And the agreement that existed in Egypt was from one day to the other withdrawn from the Egyptian side. So we were basically without status in the country. And we were not successful in renewing this permit or whatever, the status. The Egyptian side was always saying like, yeah, it comes. But we had 16 people in there. And again, we're talking about taxpayers' money, German taxpayers' money, and we were not allowed to do anything. And still, that was in the end of 2014. And the whole 2015, we were basically just there,
waiting,
paying rent, paying salaries, everything, doing some regional activities, but nothing in Egypt. And we were always saying, like, look, we need to get a status, otherwise we need to leave the country. And it was our own choice. And by the beginning of 2016, to say, like, sorry, we need to leave now.
So that office is closed.
We have a liaison office there, and we want to engage more now again, especially on the entrepreneurial area. Especially now when I take over the Jordan office or the regional office, I'm highly interested in expanding our activities in Egypt again, because I think it's necessary. A population like Egypt, an important country like Egypt, needs an active civil society, and this active civil society, this society is very active in the entrepreneurial area. There's a huge naturally grown entrepreneurship startup ecosystem, completely different to the Lebanese one. And it's fantastic to engage with them, because there are interesting minds who develop products and creative tools to bring the country forward as well. And I think this deserves our attention as well, if they want it.
So basically part of this innovative approach is to kind of view the link between entrepreneurship and democracy.
Exactly. And you have in every entrepreneur is basically what we as liberals stand for. It's someone who's like taking matters in their own hands and tries to build his own idea into reality.
So did Jordan invite the foundation to open its regional headquarters there? Did you guys choose it, or did the foundation choose it?
We looked around, and it was Tunisia.
Cheap rent?
Sure.
Cheap rent?
Cheap rent, yes, it's certainly cheap rent there.
Yeah.
That's true. But living costs are not much more different than here.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know. I've never been to Amman.
So it was Tunisia, Jordan, or Lebanon, as a matter of fact. And for many reasons, it was then decided from the foundation that, and then obviously like in discussion with the government.
But Jordan is not really a democracy. I mean, it's a constitutional monarchy. They have they have a parliament, I guess.
Yeah.
But how can the foundation kind of have these close or kind of square its mission with working closely with a monarchy, which kind of goes against the whole idea? Great Britain is also a monarchy, and it's one of the oldest democracies that we can think of. So this is not a contradiction, I would say. You don't think that the monarchy in Jordan is a little bit more overbearing or powerful than the one in the UK? It's a very they're not really that involved in the day-to-day affairs, and that's not the case in Jordan. Oops,
yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're absolutely right. This is certainly it's not comparable on that level. But I would not exclude the fact that you can work in that society. Again, like in Egypt, we were not allowed to work. And we are guests in the country. Again, like we're not coming here with a set of ready-made tools that we impose on anyone. And our methods and our reports are everything. Everything is super transparent. Everything we do. And we have been invited to engage with the society over there. They have an interest, especially after the Arab Spring, because like if you are a smart leader, you know that you cannot continue the way that you used to, and so and there are always red lines everywhere in every country, and if you know where they are, then you don't overstep them. But somewhere these red lines are closer or like tighter, and somewhere they're wider. Regardless, there is a space in which you can act. And shall we either neglect this space or shall we use it? And this is mainly what.
But there's a lot going on in Jordan now, right? Because they reopened the Al Nasi border between Syria and Jordan, which had closed in 2015 during the war, and then it reopened last year in 2018. Exactly. It's really important trade route for the region.
Great.
before the war broke out, there was about $600 million worth of trade that was going through that route. And then when the war happened, they closed it, of course, zero. I mean, that's very impactful. So now it's reopened. So obviously there's all this bubbling of the economy, and people probably want to get in on the action and do so. Is this part of the reason that you're in Jordan? And are you going to kind of jump on this opportunity to kind of get involved with the new commercial activity?
I certainly welcome it, and it's a beacon of hope. Definitely that there is some trade now happening again, because Lebanon and Jordan, they need these open roads, and it's certainly beneficial and helpful that not only the border open, but also that the kingdom himself, the king himself, and the royal family is so active in terms of entrepreneurial activities. This helps to promote the ideas that we are supporting. So we have basically the support also on the societal level and on the higher level to go in this direction and to support whoever is there and to do this, to take matters in their own hands. And
what about the fact that Saudi Arabia with the UAE and Kuwait gave Jordan about $2.3 billion worth of aid last June, recently? How do you think Jordan positions itself within the current kind of conflict in the region? Is it difficult for them to kind of play both sides of to be friends with certain countries and friends with the ones who are giving them money? And who are you? Which side is the foundation on?
The foundation is always on the side of, democracy and inclusive democracy. And we are not blind, and we're not naive. Of course, not really anywhere in the Arab world we are close to this. But this is also one of the reasons why we exist, or why we have this engagement, because if there is a possibility for us to interact with people, then we are able to influence certain minds and maybe come towards that. And politically, we do not take another stand on this.
Okay, if you say so. I'll take you at your word, of course. And how many people work for FNF globally? It seems like a huge organization. I mean, 60 countries. 60 countries or 60 offices?
60 offices.
In 30 countries?
No, Lhasa. 60 countries and 30 offices. Yes, that's what it is.
Oh, okay. So there's regional offices overseeing a few countries at a time.
There's 6 regional offices. So we have the region of Latin America,
yes.
We have the region of Sub-Saharan Africa, we have the MENA region, and so on. So these are the regions.
Yeah.
And like in MENA region, for example, 10 different countries. And 4 offices, I think. Something like this. So we are not that big. It's we're not the international work is not our main focus.
But roughly, how many employees?
We have I think 230 members or staff members.
Staff, yeah.
That we have.
So here, for example, in Beirut, how many?
In Beirut, we're 8.
And how many are going to be in Jordan?
In Jordan, 16. Because it's a regional office. And there's more filing, more administrational stuff. So you need more people.
So what kind of budget are we talking about? How much capital is the parliament in Germany allotting to this foundation?
Oh, that's now. See, I should have been better prepared for this.
Because don't they have annual reports?
Of course they do. Of course they do, but I'm bad with numbers.
Yeah.
I really I could give you the number, and I do not want to say now a number which is ridiculously completely wrong, because I'm really not good with numbers.
Okay.
Yes, I should have brought it with me, and I could read you now the numbers and everything. I can tell you that we as a foundation, we do events that cost us $500.
Yeah.
And we do events that cost us $12,000 or something like this. So in these ranges, everything is possible, because it's really it's about the impact and what the people really need. And it's things like, there's a small human rights organization that was founded here a couple of years ago. Louder is their name, and they had great ideas, great access, for example, to the ISF. And the ISF wanted to have their curricula revised in terms of human rights issues. This organization was not able to do it. We didn't have the access to it. So either of us would have done it, would have not worked. But together we were able to bring people from Geneva Institute for Human Rights, from other places, and to work 2 years long on rewriting with the ISF, with this organization, their curricula. So this costs obviously some money, but it's not in the billions or something like that. It's really like it's marginal. Like if you talk about like foreign relations, it's small because we are affecting minds, and this is what we want.
Okay. I noticed you don't have an office in Saudi Arabia or in the UAE, but does the FNF have relationships with those governments?
Again, we do not deal with governments that much,
or with,
but also civil society. This is basically it. And I don't know. I mean, is there
organizations, think tanks?
How much civil society is there in Saudi Arabia? How much civil society?
There's actually a kind of a growing number, I would think.
That would be good to know. That would be very interesting for me to find out. Now that I'm taking over the regional capacity, this is something definitely that I'm looking into it. I know that we have now, we're stretching out to Mauritania because there's a liberal party that is interested in working with us. So we're assessing these on a constant basis. We had an office in Iraq, for example, and we closed it at some point because there was not that much happening anymore for us. And we need to make sure that the money that we use is also well spent.
Yeah.
Because at the moment you have an office, you have overhead.
Those would be interesting countries to work in.
Hey, absolutely, yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about you. Because we know nothing about you, basically. You're a mystery man to this point. So you've previously worked. You've previously worked in the German Parliament,
yes,
right? Before you joined the foundation.
Yes.
You also worked as a liaison with the European Union as part of Germany's parliamentary group of the Free Democratic Party, political party there. And it's a party traditionally considered center-right that promotes human rights, civil liberties, and internationalism. So that really aligns with what you're doing here, along with free markets, which seems to be very important, and privatization. But your LinkedIn profile also says that you're into symbols and rituals. Can you explain that?
Yes, this is something that I'm really interested. I don't know why, but I find it highly interesting how politics relies on symbols and rituals. I mean, let it be here. You go to a big conference, and the first thing you do is what?
Sit down?
No, actually,
grab
you have to stand up. You have to stand up and sing the national anthem.
Yes.
You know, this is a symbol. Nobody would do this, however, in Germany.
That's a ritual.
It's a ritual.
They don't do that in Germany?
They don't do that.
Oh,
why don't they do that? We do it sometimes.
Because it's too hard. German is just too hard.
And it's not so pretty. Like, I really liked the national anthem of Lebanon. I really do.
It is a nice one.
No, it's just like, you know, there's a historical significance to it. You know, we Germans are detached from symbols, from rituals, because we had too much of them in the Second World War. And so we're like a little bit detached. And now we're getting closer to it again. We're like slowly getting there again. And I find this highly interesting because especially if you come to parliaments, and the parliament is the nucleus of a democracy, you elect basically your representatives. They gather and they adhere to certain rules that nobody can enforce. I mean, you cannot send in the tanks and say, like, you have now 5 minutes to speak. You know, it's either we all agree on it or we all don't agree on it. And this is a value in itself. And the German parliament is very poor on symbols and rituals. Yet we have a flag. There's the beginning of every session is like there's a gong coming, like a sound, and then everybody has to raise up, and But this is it basically. But if you go, like, for example, we talked about the British Parliament. Like there's like with the golden mace, and they still wear their hats and all this kind of stuff. It's so they have meaning. They derive from something, and it comes from a long struggle that has derived to where we are right now. And this needs to be preserved. That's why I love it. Okay,
it sounded a little bit more mysterious.
Oh, sorry to disappoint you.
So, you're also a self-described medieval European painting fan.
Yes.
Medieval European painting, why?
I don't know. This is it just talks to me the most. I mean,
you seem to like traditional things and a window to the past. I mean, even the symbols and rituals things.
Yes, this you find there the most. Like if you go to the medieval paintings, you have basically in one picture lots of symbols. You have someone wearing a key. It's Petrus. Like a Saint Peter. So this is a symbol for something, and you can find these in these old paintings the most. But it's mainly because there's a very nice museum in Berlin. It's called the Gemäldegalerie, a painting gallery, which I discovered when I was living there. And every Thursday, you can get in there for free. And I made a habit. I bought the book of all the paintings that they have there. And then I made a
It's
habit.
good to know that you can get in for free on Thursdays.
Yes,
Thank
that's
you for
one
that
thing.
tip.
Whoever
Thank
listens
you.
to that and knows
Yeah,
that.
okay.
And then so I went there every second Thursday and went by room to every painting. And I just fell in love with medieval paintings and not sculptures, not, I also like modern art, but this is just something where I completely can detach and be somewhere else.
Interesting. You also scuba dive?
Yes, I love it.
Have you done that in the region a lot? I imagine in Egypt?
I wanted to do it here. No time.
Oh, and what about in Egypt?
Also not.
Really?
No,
Egypt has some amazing.
I did. Wrong.
Okay.
Yes, the Red Sea, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were you also a football player?
Never.
In previous life?
Never
okay, there's
really.
someone with the same name as you that was on one of the German
that?
teams, Fortsening, yeah.
No.
So you're
You did
headed.
some research, I can
Yes,
say.
I did. So you're headed. Obviously, it wasn't all correct. You can't always trust the internet.
No, you shouldn't. There you go.
And even though your name seems unusual, there's other people with your name.
No, especially Kunze. It's like
Really?
yeah,
it's like John
yeah.
Smith or
Yes,
Eli
Khoury. Hey, something like this.
Okay. So you're headed to Jordan to oversee all of FNF's operations in the region. What's at the top of your agenda?
I think, and I'm actually pretty sure where our strength is in building networks. Again, like you tested it in this talk a little bit. Like we do not have the political agenda on a day-to-day basis. It is really like, and it's sometimes maybe hard to believe, but we do want to empower people to be self-aware of their surrounding and challenge their surrounding, question them. The moment you question, you're on the right track, because then you do use intellectual capacity. And the Arab political parties, the Arab societies do not need us Germans in our experience, not at all. But the Tunisian Liberal Party is struggling on certain levels and certain issues in their society that the Moroccan Liberal Party has gone through already, or the Lebanese will be facing soon, and so on. And yet, the Arab world is unfortunately so divided, and it could be so strong if they would be together. And building a network, being a platform for this, I think is highly valuable. And connecting this on a professional level in a new, innovative way is something that I think we should definitely work on, and it will be beneficial for everyone.
Well, that's a nice note to leave it on. Thank you so much for joining us. It was really great talking to you.
Thank you very much.
Hey, thanks so much for listening. Please like and subscribe to our show. We'd love to hear from our audience. You can find us on hakoati.com. Download our app. Send us your questions, your feedback. We'd love to hear from you. See you next time.